So I've been busy, but I want to weigh in on the objective reality debate, which is, of course, a subject this channel's always talked about. There's various issues, and I've always spent a lot of time on the analytic issues, but I think there's a bigger picture now as I watch everybody debate this. I mean, I am a subjectivist, which I'll explain a little bit, but it just doesn't really matter because relative to the way we're taking that. You know, people take it as black and white, like, oh, reality is subjective, so you can think whatever you want. No. You get your subjective facts, you do statistical analysis and double-checking and empirical, double-checking type strategies on that. Some of those facts survive, some don't. If I hear a crashing in the room and I go and I don't see anything, I might think it was my imagination. If I hear and I go and I see the broken glass on the floor and stuff, and then I heard it, now I'm seeing it, now I'm having to, touch it indirectly by, cleaning it up somehow. That subset's objective. In all cases, when you have an objective fact, that's how you got them. You got them through subjective facts, but not just one, but a series that you can analyze and triangulate with. Okay, and so when we're saying that there is no objective fact, including an objective morality, we're just saying, it's akin to saying that when you shoot an arrow at a target, you can't hit an infinitely small dot. It's going to miss that dot by a little bit. So, luckily, bullseyes aren't infinitely small dots. Bullseyes are dots with real, dimensions to them. So you can, in fact, become a good enough archer to hit the bullseye every time. And that bullseye can be arbitrarily small, right? If you include the fact that you're allowed to have it be a crossbow and mount it on a tripod and use devices to aim it. Right? So that means that you can asymptotically get towards something akin to what we'd call an objective fact. This raises the question of, okay, is the limitation just our knowledge or reality? Well, quantum physics is showing that, well, the appearance of these certainties comes from statistical analysis. If you have enough facts, you can do a statistical analysis and arrive at a consistent set, an objectively consistent set, right? And so you can do this with morality, right? Okay, another big thing I think everybody's missing, well, there's a couple other things. One, people have a terrible understanding of morality, and that's fine. Y'all tend to think dictionaries are where words come from. No, that's where we put words. Okay, words do not start off with dictionary definitions. That's why you can have words like love that are used a lot, even have a lot of import in people's lives. No proper dictionary definition, really. The dictionary will have an attempt at describing what is meant, give a hint, give people some lead into it. But we can't just define it like we can define a mathematical operator. We don't have a very technical definition, right? But what we have is a lot of cases of we know it when we see it. That's how all concepts and words start out. So when you find that society, all of them, seem to have this crazy history and confusion about what morality might mean, including myself and my own culture, and you want to back off and see what you can do about that, you look at situations, examples. I know it when I see it. I know when somebody drops a $100 bill and the person behind them goes, hey, you dropped a $100 bill, I consider that a moral act. I can put that in there. If I have enough of them, I can start looking for patterns. Now, will I get an absolute certainty that things have to be a certain way at doing that pattern? Well, no. For one, I would be limited on, natural moral acts. What about invented moral acts? Somebody that go way out of their way to construct that. Well, they'll have to think about it and have some principle theory, but I'll bet they get that theory by watching the natural acts, say, here's the essence of those acts, and I'm going to turn it up to 11. Right? So you can't come up with an exact thing, but you're not trying to come up with a thing. You just need to see if you can hit a bullseye. Can you draw the bullseye? Well, you can't draw an infinitely small bullseye, but you can draw a bullseye this big, so what are you going to draw? Well, here's where the intersubjectivity comes in, and yet another thing you all are very confused about. You know, agreement between a group does not mean something is true. But I would say that a moral system is, you'll never figure out a moral system to boss other people around. That itself is not moral. Moral systems are systems for people that want to be moral. They're just for one person. They're for yourself. And when in the issues of like thievery and stuff, it's like, can I prove thievery is wrong? If not, how can I arrest the person? That's not the moral question. If I have a morality that thieving is wrong, and somebody thieves from me or someone else or something, my question isn't how do I demonstrate to that person my morality is superior and they should adopt it. The question is, what do I do with the person that violates my morality? That's the moral question involved. How do I behave in that situation? The moral question is always, how do I behave? And if people want to focus on how you should behave, I think it's, you got slave hangover, and the morality has been used by your slave owner to make you feel guilty about wanting your freedom, and so you're rather confused about it. So the real issue with intersubjectivity, approaching it this way, is that I have my moral system. I come up with something like thieving is wrong. Some other person elsewhere in the world has their moral system. I meet them. Hey, I think thieving is wrong. What do you think? Well, most people find thieving wrong. You know, you'll find a lot of agreement on that. And if you don't, then that's what you find out. One way or the other, people either think thieving is right or wrong, should be legal or not, should be encouraged or not, and they'll go in one group or not. And they will happen to have a bullseye. We want a society where it's considered okay to thieve. Oh, well, there's certain problems that'll put problems in the economy, you know. Well, we'll mitigate that, but not very likely, right? People are going to go, well, let's agree not to thieve, and let's agree so much that anybody that's agreeing it's a bad idea but is going to do it anyway and is just, you know, giving lip service to it, well, you know, if they do that, they'll get arrested. Or maybe somebody believes in thieving and then they're driven to it for some reason, okay, they'll get arrested. Those kind of agreements emerge, those bullseyes, the possibility of them emerge because we do have common opinions. Now, in terms of sort of compelling a human being into a particular conclusion, it's possible, it's conceivable, because we have things that we have to agree on if we're at all sane. Like, humans need water to survive, right? And basically it comes back to survival and the natural palatability of comfort. You know, everybody wants these kinds of things. And you can draw a lot of conclusions from that. But it won't be absolute, it won't be that infinite bullseye, because someone can come along and say, well, you didn't hit the infinite bullseye. What about people that don't want to survive? What about masochists? You know, are they really masochists if they're getting what they want? You know, it is possible to blur the question like that. It's just that that's saying, let's talk about this infinite little spot that's a conceptual location, not a real bullseye. Right? But we're still left with the fact that most people do want comfort in survival. They'll admit that they want that, they will work for it, and that provides us a bullseye. And that is why we can find common moralities, a lot of commonality in it, because of the commonality of what kind of creatures we all are. And the fact that one of the things we would all have to agree, if we're paying attention, is that we are in a group whether we like it or not. No matter how individualist we live or are, one fact is we're getting materials from all over the world. Okay, there's that material cooperation. But even if we weren't, we're all from the same DNA source mostly. We're very related. It means that we have similar needs, emotional needs, physical needs, different kinds of environments, scales, objects. And so it's from those things that we would argue our moral system. And we argue it for ourself. Your moral system's worthless unless you can figure out for yourself what to do for yourself. And if your moral system requires that everybody has it, so nobody ever violates your moral system, you have a broken moral system. One of the most important questions in any moral system is, what are you going to do to people that break it?